Let's talk about one of my favorite features in the One Ring, the Shadow. Over the course of the game, your character will gain and lose shadow points. If your shadow points are ever equal to or higher than your current hope score, you'll become miserable. When this happens, any eyes that are rolled on your feat die means the action fails, regardless of the other total rolled. If your shadow score gets so high that it reaches your maximum hope rating, all your rolls become ill-favored. Your shadow rating can never rise higher than your maximum hope. There are a number of sources that can cause a hero to gain shadow. These are dread, greed, sorcery, and misdeeds. If a character battles a particularly horrifying creature, witnesses the brutality of the orcs, or experiences the true power of the enemy, they feel dread. Players who feel the lust for treasure that sat too long in the darkness of a haunted barrow feel greed. When a hero is targeted by the attacks of a wraith, they are subjected to sorcery. If a hero kills a defenseless foe or breaks an oath, they are considered to have done a misdeed. Different sources of shadow deal different amounts of shadow points. Some examples are given on pages 138 and 139. When heroes gain shadow from dread, greed, or sorcery, they can attempt to reduce the number of points gained by making a shadow test. Players use their rating in valor to combat dread, and they use wisdom to combat greed and sorcery. Shadow points gained by misdeeds cannot be lessened or avoided. If a shadow test succeeds, the number of shadow points is reduced by 1 point plus an additional point for every success icon rolled. Once you have gained shadow, there are a few ways to remove it. The best way is during the fellowship phase of the game. If the last adventuring phase ended in a positive outcome with the heroes having successfully interfered with the plans of the enemy, the lore master can allow the players to remove from 1 to 3 points of shadow, depending on how noteworthy the hero's accomplishments were. Another way to remove shadow points is by the Harden will mechanic. As long as your shadow points haven't reached your maximum hope, you can remove all your shadow points and replace them with a shadow scar. Shadow scars are semi-permanent and can only be removed during a Yule fellowship phase, which can only happen once per in-game year. A hero can choose the Heal Scars undertaking and spend 5 adventure points to remove 1 shadow scar. Until the scar is removed, it functions like a regular shadow point, but is marked down here on your character sheet. The final way to remove shadow points can only be done when your shadow points equals your hope maximum. This involves the hero suffering a bout of madness. This madness does not need to happen right when the final shadow point is gained. However, if the madness still hasn't happened by the end of the current adventuring phase, that character is considered to have left the company and is retired from the game. The Bout of Madness can take many different forms, such as a violent outburst against another member of the company, a betrayal of an ally, or a cowardly flight from the enemy. Once the madness is over, the player removes all their shadow points and advances 1 step along their shadow path. Your shadow path is given to you when you first chose a heroic calling. The table on page 140 shows which flaw your character gains after each Bout of Madness. A flaw works like a distinctive feature and may cause your character to take a penalty to certain rolls. For example, if you become arrogant, you might lose 1d on your courtesy rolls. Finally, if your character has a 5th Bout of Madness, they succumb to the shadow and will disappear soon from the game. An elven character might set sail for Valinor, or a hobbit might simply wander out into the wild, forsaken by all. That is everything you need to know about Shadow. If you haven't already, please check out my videos on character creation, combat, councils, and journeys, and stay tuned for my next videos covering rules for creating marvelous artifacts, wondrous items, famous weapons and armor, as well as cursed items and nameless things. Thanks for watching.